Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekend. Welcome. We did it. We got there this weekend. Lately, we got it. Words. Hi, everybody. I got my camera back. It's been repaired. It's better. So that's really helpful in making a video today. Hello, I feel a little bit scatterbrained, but I'm going to try for this anyways. This week we've been talking about gender markers, so I'm going to talk to you about gender markers. For those of you who don't know what that means, because maybe you don't, it's like when you have to select your gender, like on your driver's license or your birth certificate or any form that you have to fill out ever that asks you to declare your gender using like the M or the F symbol, or there are I just got really close to the camera and it intimidated me. I've been hearing about other countries this week from Manon and Lee about gender marker X. I live in the US, and so that's not an option for us. I hear about all the complications of having an X as your gender too and not being able to travel, and I'm like, wow. So, other things about gender markers. I didn't really think my thoughts through before I started recording this, so now you get to hear me think them through. I'm also twisting this camera lens in case you wanted to know. There's your things to know. So, my feeling about gender markers as a non-binary person and an intersex person is that they are an act of violence against people who are not men or women. It's an act of violence, an act of erasure, asking us all of the time to misgender ourselves, to misrepresent ourselves. It's we have to fill out forms all the time, at least I do, and then especially for I get public assistance from social services, and so I have to fill out forms all the time declaring my gender and my information and signing it saying that everything I've said is true. And I feel and that feels dirty and wrong and violence against me because I'm I cannot tell you the truth because you're not allowing me to tell you the truth. So I get really angry and frustrated and sometimes if I have to, my response to gender markers is that if I don't have to fill out the form with the gender marker, I will not fill it out. If I don't have to misgender myself, I'm not going to. It is more of an act of harm. It's like an act of self-harm to misgender myself, and so when I can avoid that, I try to avoid that because self-harm is harmful to myself, and I have troubles with that anyways. So, when it's an online form, if I don't need to be a part of the program that is asking me to misgender myself, I won't do it. Sometimes it's a legal thing and I have to, and so I will do it, but I will be really angry about it and I'll yell while I'm doing it, or I'll hand flap angrily, or afterwards I might twirl in circles because I'm so upset. I also twirl in circles when I'm happy though, so there you go. If it's a paper form, this is my favorite. If it's a paper form and they're only giving me little boxes to check, I won't check them. It is an act of violence to misgender myself, so if I don't have to do it, I'm not going to do it. I will be that person that will write in my gender. I'll usually, if it's a medical form, I will write in that I'm intersex because I'm isn't that medically, it's not always medically relevant, but in my case, because my intersex type is different levels of hormones, I have a lot of androgens. Is that the word? I don't know. I might have said gibberish just then. Whoa. Anyways, so at a doctor's office, I think personally that doctors, the medical necessity to know male or female, to know gender isn't actually that necessary. I think Beyond made this point that blood type would be blood type is a lot more relevant than gender to put on your medical forms. But I don't even know my blood type. I lost my train of thought. Oops. Oh, so like for me, I'm like, well, if doctors think it's that important to know somebody's like what they were assigned at birth, which is basically asking about your genitalia, like what parts you have. I'm like, well, then wouldn't it be relevant for you to know that like I am intersex, because so that you know that like if you look at my hormone levels, you know why they look different. Or so you know how to treat me, because I'm not like my body is not. Oh, I don't even know how to talk about that. So, anyways, I will write down that I'm intersex, or I'll write down that I'm non-binary, and I will write all over the forms that my pronouns are they and them. Doctors will still rarely look at that and respect it. Like, I have to tell them in person, like, hey, my pronouns are they and them. You need to respect that. And even then, they often will not. I'm sure you all are not used to this, but maybe you are. This happens to all of us all the time, I know. I'm so sorry, like, oh, it's awful. Ugh. So anyways, gender markers. I wish that we could do away with gender markers entirely. They're unnecessary. They don't like they're a way to like segregate people. Like the difference in like medical necessity of knowing like if someone's a man or a woman is not needed, like unless like it's not needed. And having those like declaring one's gender, like, or like putting all people into these two dichotomies, it does change how we are treated by people, because like people will treat a person differently depending on what gender they perceive that person to be. So I know when I'm being perceived as female, I get treated really differently than when I'm being perceived as male, or when I'm being perceived as trans or non-binary or intersex. Like people treat me differently depending on how the perception is working. So I'm like gender markers I think result in more like poor healthcare, like because if you are assumed female, if people think you're a female, like often mental health problems will go undiagnosed, or autism will go undiagnosed, because those things are not seen as like female things, like, or like pain syndromes or something. If you are assumed to be female by medical professionals, will often be called like you'll often be like said that you're making it up, or like you need to go talk to a therapist about your physical pain. So anyways, I see differences like that, like people who are perceived as females in the medical as female patients by doctors often get treated with less respect and seriousness for their medical problems. So like in terms of that difference, like the difference of treatment, I'm like it is causing people to be treated poorly, to have gender markers. Like doctors have bias, doctors have preconceived notions about what people will say depending on what gender the doctor is perceiving that person to be. And having those gender markers doesn't allow for like everybody else, like trans people and intersex people and non-binary people and other genders that don't fall under like trans or intersex umbrellas. Did you know there are genders that don't fall under the trans umbrella? I'm learning about this, but it's still new to me, but I'm excited to learn more about this. That was a tangent. So there's all of my thoughts about gender markers tonight. I had more than I thought I did. I think that's all. I am not sure what announcements there are from the community. I think we're definitely looking for new members. So if you want to apply to our channel, please do. I might here's a little announcement about me. I have been having a really hard time with my PTSD. It's gotten a lot worse, and since November, like I've been having a really, really hard time with it. And it's made it like I have felt like scared to be on the internet. Just you all are mostly everybody is lovely. Like sometimes I get some hard comments, but usually it's fine. It's really nice to talk to you all, but it's like that exposure level of like just putting myself out there on the internet and using like words to communicate about things that I think are really important. And it's been really hard to do that while processing through so much trauma. So that's what's been going on a little bit. So I'm a little bit out of the loop with everything because I've just been having a hard time like just taking care of myself. But I know we're looking for new members, and if you want to apply, that would be great. Especially if you could diversify our channel. would really like more people who were assigned male at birth to apply. That would be really great. And more people of color. Excuse me, sorry. Whew, I got really stressed talking to you about PTSD. I have to go now. Yeah, I hope you all have a really great week. And I love you. Believe in yourself. We can do this. I'll see you next weekend. Bye.